you up and give you my first impressions on today in court. I just realized I'm gonna take this off. I want to make sure you guys can all hear me before I continue, because I was having some microphone issues before I started, unfortunately. So we definitely want to make sure. Okay, you can hear me. Is my mic working, or is it more so? Okay, well, so first off, here's a great bit. I did a morning live this morning, and you guys saw the cookie that Julie Brooks bought me, or brought us, made, not bought, and she was giving them to Gigi and others in the courtroom, and she was sitting in the front row with the victims. Well, I noted that she gave Trina K one before court began, and I've never seen Trina smile so big. Trina actually doesn't smile a lot. She's very professional, and she's wearing some killer red lipstick today, I might add. She's looking good and ready for what lies ahead, because I do think she has a decent job ahead of her. We'll get into that. I do think the jury is skeptical, and for good reason, and there needs to be some more proof laid out, more evidence. But nonetheless, we had Trina K smiling thanks to Julie Brooks' cookie this morning. I shared what it said in my morning live. I'll have it later today as well, but it made prosecutor Trina K smile today. So, also I want to point out that in the middle of the morning, Colby Ryan showed up, and Colby walked into the courtroom a little bit late. That does happen. He sat right behind Brandon and right next to Nancy Jo Hancock, and as he sat down, he reached over, and Brandon and Colby, they hugged one another. It was touching. I can't imagine, again, showing up to your own mother's trial after what she did, and I actually find it very brave that he shows up. Well, okay, so it started with Detective Ryan Pillar cross-exam, and we knew that was going to happen. Lori hadn't cross-examined him yet, and guys, she had, I hate to say this, she had some wins, in my opinion. She made some decent points. Like, look, I believe that Lori did this, and I want to see the guilty verdict. I am ready for yet another guilty verdict for Lori Daybell. So I just realized that we have some more things to sort of show evidence-wise to the jury. She once again made a really good point that there were no other photographs taken of the license plate, and let it be known that Holbrook, Arizona is well over 100 miles from Phoenix. And she asked about how many cameras there are in the area, and he mentioned thousands in the Mesa, Gilbert, Phoenix area. On cross-exam, or on redirect, Trina K made some good points that, again, those are on drug routes. But at the same time, beyond that, she points out that people can cover up their license plate, take the license plate off, put a sticker over a license plate so that it is covered as they drive by and get caught by cameras. Those are actually becoming more popular. I was given an advertisement for one of those on my algorithms, I think because people don't want speeding tickets. So I think Trina K was sort of implying that most likely, as he got closer to Arizona, he hid his license plate, but she certainly, I think, cast some doubt with the jurors who don't know anything about Lori or her previous cases that, okay, well, if her license plate was taken, over 100 miles outside of the area where the crime occurred, and not a single photo was taken of a license plate inside the area, that's some decent question. Other things Lori said, she implied, maybe she did a better job questioning today. She had her power hairdo, the Pebbles Flintstone, like extreme, exaggerated. So I think, maybe she was feeling powerful. I don't know, So, you know, the higher the hair, the closer to God. She was up there today. But you know, she made some valid points. She said, how am I supposed to do evidence analysis and my own research if you threw away the Tesla window, or if you didn't keep the Tesla to test for trajectory? I understand why they didn't, as they explained that there was no one dead. Brandon needed his car back, so they handed the Tesla back over to Brandon. You can't just keep someone's very, very expensive car. I mean, I guess you could, but it's complicated. So she kind of complained, I can't do testing on trajectory. I can't do what I need to do. What about the bullet? How do we know if it was a handgun or a rifle? How do we know if it really came from this Jeep? So that's all I'll give her. I'll stop there because I hate talking about Lori's potential wins in court. It makes me feel yucky, but I've got to say it. I was like, she's doing a decent job. Redirect though with Trina K was good. She explained those things again, and bringing up Melanie's stuff, man. Yeah, let's talk about that. She continues to throw her niece under the bus, and two things she's doing with that. A, she's doing a great job throwing her niece under the bus. I think a lot of us are wondering why Melanie hasn't been charged. I mean, even Lori seems to think that Melanie's responsible for all this, right? I mean, if your own aunt who considers you a daughter thinks you're responsible, certainly the state probably does too. I think the jurors are starting to think that. They refer to recorded phone conversations and police interviews with Melanie Palowski. Did I say Melanie Gibb for some reason? I don't think I said, yeah. But Melanie Palowski, Melanie Boudreaux Palowski, the ex-wife of Brandon, who was the almost ex-wife back then, the still wife of Brandon back then. And that was, I hate to say it, another win for Lori, to kind of throw out this third party that could possibly be a suspect. I was thinking, you know, at the beginning of this, we were all thinking that she was going to stick to blaming Brandon for this, that he plotted and planned and has guns and created a scenario on his own. It was weird. I was like, that's weird. I mean, not that she ever has a great defense, but that was not an ideal defense, right? Like, weird. You're gonna blame everything on the victim. But now that she's blaming everything on her niece, and the niece was married to Brandon with financial gain, yeah, I feel like it's gonna be a little bit of a tougher uphill battle for the state to sort of convince the jury that Lori is part of this conspiracy. Like, again, I feel like remember Carl? How did we forget Carl? Juror 14, Carl. We interviewed Carl. Carl was the one who thought Lori Daybell was innocent of killing her husband, Charles Vallow, just weeks ago. And he had to be convinced. He said it was clear that Alex had done it and had been involved. It was pretty to the point there, but conspiracy is complicated. And so I sort of try to channel my inner Carl now. You know, what would Carl think? And if Carl were on the jury today, I think that he would be in a similar place. So if there are Carls on that jury, we've got a problem. How do you show that Lori Daybell is responsible for the conspiracy in this and not just her niece that she's throwing under the bus now? And that's a tough one, I think, without sort of throwing out the entire cult. If you have a cult and you have a belief system, a group belief system, Lori is definitely in this conspiracy. I think that they're going to have to show the storage unit surveillance because Lori is in there both times, entering and exiting the storage unit with the tire. And then, you know, hold on. It always gets awkward when people walk by, important people. I just got away from Detective Duncan. So, sorry, I stopped mid-sentence. I'm like, and then, oh,
Like, forget.
hello, right? Hello, good to see you. Yeah, we even try to find private places, but it doesn't work. So yeah, what was I saying? I think I was just talking about the real Carls. If how do we prove conspiracy without bringing up the cult, without bringing up what else Lori did, without talking about how she convinced Melanie to move up to Rexburg? And I don't know. Trina K is a rock star. She's Wonder Woman, at least according to our new live trial emoji. But she wasn't really prepared for this either, because Lori didn't introduce this as her defense until mid-trial, which Trina K was like, go for it, But I think that it's going to be harder to say Lori is responsible. That's all. This whole idea that Melanie had moved up to Rexburg, she indeed had, also gets complicated because we know that Melanie was in Arizona at the time, taking custody of the children that day. Anyway, okay, I'll stop rambling. Then the other witness today, so we're only on the first witness. Remember how last night I said there were 7 witnesses left? Detective Pillar was already on the stand, so he doesn't count. So now, before lunch, we've only had one other witness, and that's Vanessa Milkey, the DNA forensic scientist. And she was able to prove how all DNA forensic cytologists prove that it pretty much Alex Cox's DNA was found in the Jeep. She gave us those numbers, quintillion and numbers I've never heard of, with 24 zeros at the end of it, showing probability. You can't ever say it was Alex Cox's DNA, but you can say you cannot rule it out. And the probabilities are this broad, and pretty much you can all surmise that Alex Cox's DNA was found in this Jeep. That's pretty much how I sum up her testimony. Yeah, Grayson's over here nodding. So then we get to something that I found very interesting today, so much so that maybe, as I always say, I buried the lead. But we had 3 juror questions after Pillar. And I like juror questions because they really show the mindset of the jury. I think that Trina K most likely likes them too. And I think they show that indeed Melanie is confusing jurors. They see that she might be responsible, and they see that Alex Cox is responsible, but they're not seeing that Lori's responsible. I also took from them that they're confused about the Jeep color. So the questions were, the first one was, is it normal for a witness to confuse the color of a Jeep or a car or something? And the answer from Detective Pillar is yes, indeed, it is complicated to do that, and he answered properly. I will point out I got a really interesting email today from a viewer who shares about specifically the Jeep Cherokee, and how this particular hunter green color was known to look different in different lighting. This viewer sourced this information and sent me links. I hope to bring it into my recap tonight. It's very interesting. It also implies specifically that sometimes it can look gray and sometimes it can look green. Well, but it sounds like, even though I've been a little cocky with how, to me, it seems pretty clear what the color of the Jeep is. It's either gray-green or green or puke ammo, same. The jurors are not so clear on the color, it seems, by that question. Another question they asked was, were these interviews and conversations recorded with Melanie Boudreau? She was Melanie Boudreau at the time. And yes, they were recorded. Whether or not we're going to hear them, I don't think so. But that tells me the jurors are definitely thinking about her involvement. What was the third question? I'm speaking off the top of my head without notes. We're looking at our notes here. The third question, I think, also had to do with Melanie, as I recall, and we'll get that. Anyway, the sun certainly came out, huh? I'm gonna just stand up and come over here, forgive me. Phoenix is hot, guys, so we're in the shade and the sun comes out and it like gets 20 degrees hotter and I can hardly think. So those juror questions also showed me a lot, and I'm just realizing that we're what? Here.
The third question was, were voicemails left explaining the situation, and Pillar basically said, like, Brandon...
Oh, that's right.
He left a voicemail basically saying, like, a situation had occurred, but he didn't give
But he didn't
details.
explain.
There are no details.
And they saved the voicemail. They have it recorded, but it didn't explain the situation on the voicemail. Oh, and they also brought up another potential motive. Like, could somebody that had a business dealing with Brandon... That's sort of what was implied by Lori's cross-exam. That's big too. That was another, I think, win for Lori. Oh, I hate saying that. But she sort of implied this other motive, that could someone have had a business dealing with Brandon? Lori, it's the Shih Tzu hairstyle. She just pulls it up and she, like, I don't know what it does. She does.
Can't get a facelift in prison.
What did you just say?
I just said you can't get Botox or a facelift in prison.
So that's why you think she's doing?
Yeah, I think it like pulls up
her head.
Yeah, I think she does it to make herself look better.
But why do like such a high? Okay, yeah. So you think the 24-year-old thinks that Lori's
can't be explained, okay? So I don't know why it's so high, but I just think that's why it's so tight.
It's not, you don't know how high, but you think how tight is it's a facelift.
I think it's like a way to pull her skin up.
Okay, to look less like the aging serial killer she is.
Yeah. I did notice that the jurors seem to be looking out into the gallery more.
Yes.
I don't know if you noticed that. Like, there's a lot of sidebars today. It was like sidebar after sidebar after sidebar. And every time I noticed that, we had quite a lot of jurors looking at the gallery. I think they're kind of like maybe putting the pieces together. This is a very high profile case. I mean, obviously they were told there was going to be a lot of media, but I think that they're starting to wonder what's going on. You know, Friday she acted insane in court, and then Monday a bunch of people showed up. And then today it's not as busy, but I think they can't quite figure out why there's so many people on certain days and not, or why there's so many people in general. I mean, every day they walk past the line of people outside, like out in the hallway to go into the juror rooms. And so I'm sure they're thinking like, what's going on? But I just noticed that they've been looking towards the gallery a lot more, which they don't usually do.
And in general, just so you guys know, Grace and I come out of court. We don't talk in court, so we don't know what the other one is feeling. And this lunch live is my first impressions, what I'm feeling. So I haven't even asked Grayson, what are your thoughts this morning? Do you disagree with some things I've said here? And disagree, good minds disagree. Tell me your opinions on this morning.
Yeah, I think she's had some solid points. Whether they'll hold up, maybe not. I think a lot's going to depend on the testimony from this afternoon and tomorrow, depending on who we get to. Because I think a lot of her cross-exam will be... The jurors have a lot of questions. It's no secret, but they're clearly running through a lot of scenarios in their brains. But I think that depending on the testimony today, I think it could clear a lot up for them. And like, let's say they bring in the storage unit video, that might change things, right? Like, I do think that they're probably thinking a lot more about Melanie now and less about Lori. And arguably, like, last trial, they were wondering where Tylee was. I assume they're probably like, where is Melanie? Why is she not testifying? And none of us know that answer. We know she's under investigation, but I think that's a question, and I think that storage unit video could clear a lot up. So I think we're just gonna have to wait and see kind of where we think they are by the end of the day, depending on who talks.
And I want to point out that there's a lot of evidence in this case that none of us have known about. I have all the FOIA documents from Gilbert and Chandler on our Patreon account, patreon.com/hidden2crime, where you guys can all read thousands and thousands of pages. I didn't know about Danny Moss and the photos he had and the text he sent. Or maybe I once did and I missed it and I'm not remembering. I don't know if it's in there. There is certainly evidence we don't know about. So while we all know about the storage unit video and we're waiting and with bated breath wondering if they're going to bring this to this case, which I hope they do, there also might be other evidence. And as I've learned about Trina K, I was told this about Trina K, and then I watched it happen in real time. And that is that Trina K likes to tell first and then show. A lot of prosecutors might start with their biggest bang. And look, she did by having Brandon be the first witness to tell the story. But I've noticed that Trina K will often wait towards the end to bring some really strong evidence to show the jurors, and if that's the case, to show them that storage unit, to show them more about how Lori conspired to kill her nephew-in-law and was part of this plan. Like I said, I'm nervous. All of us know about the cult. We know about her other convictions. We know about what kind of person she is. You know? They don't. So I'm always just trying to put myself into their shoes. Channel my inner Carl. I'd love you guys to all channel your inner Carl for a moment too while we watch the second half, and tell me what you think. And I'm gonna sit contently knowing that Trina K will bring these receipts. She always has, so I'm gonna feel secure in that. And I just also have to give a shout out to Nancy Jo Hancock. I mentioned Trina K's red lipstick. It was a great choice with her black outfit today. But Nancy Jo Hancock is wearing the most amazing hot pink shoes I have ever seen. I told her I need to buy myself a pair. She looks like an absolute queen. She's sitting near Kay and others in the courtroom. There are some incredible people now in that courtroom today, from Julie Brooks, Kay, Nancy Jo, Colby, Brandon and his family. The energy in there is solid. So as high as Lori Daybell puts her hair, we have an incredible energy coming from the gallery today. And I believe in the prosecution and in the evidence they're bringing. So I will go back in there holding my breath. Thank you everyone for supporting us. We have to head back in there. Troublemaker Baker and all the moderators in our live stream, thank you so much. Thank you to the people gifting memberships. I have seen so many thanks from people who've been gifted memberships saying they couldn't afford it. Thank you. I'll go gift some today as well. And yeah, may justice be served.